Welcome back to this next tutorial on Adobe Photoshop. As you can see, I've opened the project to where we got up to last time, and you can see that all my documents were exactly as they were when I opened them last time. If you have opened the files in your Tour of Photoshop folder and they do not appear like this, I will now quickly remind you how to lay them out in this style so that we can continue with this tutorial. When you open Adobe Photoshop, you will see this screen showing you recent documents that you can choose from. The quickest way to get your documents back open again is to go to File and choose Open. Then you can drag your mouse over all of the files to highlight them all. Once they are all selected, you can press Open. If you cannot see the files here, make sure you navigate to the location where your Tour of Photoshop folder is stored. Once you have pressed Open, you can see that the Photoshop files are open in individual tabs. We'll now arrange them so that you can see all of the windows laid out neatly on the screen. To do this, go to the Window menu at the top of the screen, go down to Arrange, and select Float All in Windows. Once you have done this, you can now see that the windows are floating separately inside Photoshop. You can now pick up these windows using the grey bar along the top to position them however you like. Finally, I'm going to zoom in so that I can see the files a little bit clearer. So for this, I'm going to click on each window one at a time, go to View, and select Zoom In. Then choose the next one, go to View, and choose Zoom In. And I'm going to do this for all of the windows. Now that I have zoomed in on all of the windows, I'm now going to position them neatly around my screen. Now you probably remember from last time that we got up to this part here, where we put the CD from this document into this tour.psd document. We reduced it in size and twisted it on its side. You may also remember that if you make a mistake in Photoshop, you can go to Edit and choose Undo from the menu. You may also remember that if you're trying to find any menu items and you cannot remember where they are located, you can use the Help menu and the search function up here to locate any items that you're looking for. As you can see, Photoshop reminds me exactly where these options are located in the menu. Now, before we continue today's session, remember that these sessions are designed to be paused, rewind, and re-watched. So feel free to pause the video at any point and to go back and watch any bits again which you are not sure about. Also remember to take regular breaks, pause your work occasionally, and stand up, walk around, and maybe get some fresh air. Now let's carry on with this tutorial on Adobe Photoshop. The next thing we're going to do in this document is we're going to bring over this image of the horn into our tour.psd document. But what we want to do is bring over just the horn itself and not the white background. For this, we might struggle to select the horn effectively using the selection tools that we used on the last tutorial, as the shape of the horn is quite complex and it's going to be very difficult to select it precisely. Instead, we're going to use a different selection tool. From the menu on the left hand side, we're going to locate the magic wand tool. The magic wand tool can be selected by pressing and holding down your mouse on the object selection tool. Remember that any tool with a little triangle in the corner means that there is more tools hiding behind it. So go ahead and press and hold your mouse on the object selection tool, and then with your mouse still held down, scroll down to the magic wand tool. Once this is highlighted, release your mouse. Once you have selected the magic wand tool, we are going to click anywhere in this white background behind the horn. So go ahead and do this now. Once you have clicked in the white space behind the horn, you should be able to see a dotted line running around the edge of the horn and up and around the edge of the document. You can see that the dotted line only goes around this top part of the image and not the white background down here. If you click on this part of the white background, you can see that only now the bottom is selected and not the top. So, to select all of the white space, we need to go to the Select menu at the top of the screen and scroll down to Similar. Click on Similar from the Select menu, and now you can see that Photoshop has selected all of the white space which is inside this document. Now that the white area is selected, the last thing we need to do before we move it over is now to invert our selection. At the moment, we have selected the white space in this document, but it is in fact the horn that we want, not the white area. So go ahead and go up to Select menu again, and in the Select menu, choose the option Inverse. You should now see the dotted line runs around the horn, not around the outside of the document. Now that the horn is selected, go back over to your toolbar, select the Move tool, and just like we moved the CD shape, we are now going to move the horn down here into the tour.psd document. So use your mouse now to click and drag the horn down into this tour.psd document, and then release the mouse. If you are struggling with this, make sure that you press and hold with your mouse, and that you do not release the mouse until it appears inside the tour document. Only release your mouse once it is inside here. Now that we have a copy of the horn in this image here, we can go ahead and reposition the horn inside this document. To do this, we'll carry on with the Move tool, which we already have selected on the toolbar. With the Move tool selected, check that the horn layer is highlighted over here on the Layers panel. If the horn layer is not selected, like this, you may find that when you try and move the horn, it doesn't move because it is not selected in the layers panel over here on the right hand side. So do check that the correct layer that you want to move is highlighted and selected, ready to be moved. Now that I've checked that layer 2 is active and selected in this layers panel, I can now click and drag to move and reposition the horn. When you are ready, position the horn so that it sits on the left hand side of the document with the bottom of the horn falling off the bottom of the document. Now that we have done this, let's save our work so far. So go up to the File menu and go down to Save. Great. Now let's have a look in a bit more detail at this Layers panel on the right hand side. You may notice that we have a few layers now which we can choose from. Of course, we have the horn, which we just moved over, and the CD, which we moved over from a previous workshop. We also have a layer called Notes, and if I scroll down, you'll see that there's another layer at the bottom called Background. You'll also notice that on the left hand side of each layer there is an eye symbol. This eye symbol shows you whether the layer is visible or not. If you click on this eye symbol, it will hide the layer. By hiding the layer, you can see what's behind it, but also it gives you the ability to move, reposition and resize other objects in your document without the horn getting in the way and obscuring what you can see. You can click on the eye symbol to turn the layer on and off as you wish. If you click where the eye symbol should be for notes, you should be able to turn on the notes layer. You can now see that this layer is visible now that the eye is showing. If you want to, you can turn off all of the layers so that all you see is the background. If you now try to move and reposition the layer, you won't be able to see what is happening. So make sure that if you're trying to move or resize or adjust any layers, make sure that they are visible so that you can see where they are and what they are doing. Now let's talk about stacking order. The stacking order is the order in which the layers appear on top of each other. For example, you can see that the notes sit on top of the horn as they are above the horn itself. And you can also see that the horn is above the CD. As you can see, the top of the horn here is obscuring the bottom part of the CD. You can change the stacking order of these layers and the order in which they appear by moving them up and down inside this layers panel. To do this, click and hold on the layer that you want to move and drag your mouse up the layers panel until you see a blue line going across it. When you see this blue line, release the mouse. I have now repositioned the stacking order by moving the CD above the horn. Now when I move the CD, you can see that it is indeed above the horn. If I click and drag the horn up this list until I see the blue line and then release, you can see now that the horn is above the CD. Try this yourself now, and reposition these layers however you wish. I'm going to put my CD at the back, and have the horn at the front. By clicking and dragging to rearrange the order of your layers, you can move objects from the front to the back very quickly and very easily in Adobe Photoshop. Now that we've had a look at how to rearrange the stacking order of your layers in Photoshop, now will be a good time to take a short break. So feel free now to pause the video, stretch your legs, and maybe get some fresh air. The next thing we're going to do now is have a look at renaming your layers in Photoshop. As you can see, the layer with a CD on is simply named Layer 1, and the layer containing the horn is named Layer 2. To rename any layer, simply put your mouse over the text written on the layer itself, so here where it says Layer 2, and then just double click on the words. Once you double click, you can see that the text is highlighted in blue, and you can just go ahead now and type horn for the name of this layer. Once you have renamed the horn layer, go down to the CD layer and double click on the text here to rename that layer also to CD. Have a go at renaming these now. If when you double click on the layer, a box appears like this, don't worry, just press OK, and make sure that you are double clicking on the words and not the grey space next to it. As I say, if you double click on the grey space, it will open this pop-up box. So do make sure that you're double clicking on the word itself. Now that we have renamed our layers, this will make it a little bit easier when navigating through our document, as it just helps us to organise them a little bit better. This will be particularly useful when you have lots of different layers with all different objects, images, and text on them. Now we're going to change the colour of the horn to make it a little bit brighter and a little bit bolder. So go ahead and click on the horn layer in your layers panel. Once you have selected the horn layer, go up to the top of the screen and go to Image, scroll down to Adjustments, and click on Levels. In the pop-up window, you should be able to see this graph in the middle. This graph is a visual representation of how much shadows, midtones, and highlights there are in this image. If you want to make the shadows a bit stronger, you can click and drag the dark slider in towards the graph. And if you want to make the highlighted areas a little bit brighter, you can click and drag this slider in towards the graph. You should now be able to see that the horn looks a bit brighter than it did before, and the shadows look a little bit richer. If you can't notice the change, don't worry, just go over here on the right hand side of the pop-up window and click the tick box which says Preview. If you tick this on and off, you should be able to see the changes. This is how it looked before, and this is how it will look now. You can adjust and move these sliders until you are happy with the amount of shadows and highlights, and then press OK. Now, to add a bit more colour to this horn, we can go up to the top of the screen again, into Image. Again, scroll down to Adjustments, but this time we're going to choose Colour Balance. In the Colour Balance window, we have a breakdown of the different colours and how much we want to add or remove from this image. For example, for this horn, to make it look a bit more gold, I'm going to drag the bottom slider here towards the colour yellow. As you can see, this has enhanced the amount of yellow in this image here. If I drag the slider the other way, you can see that I am now adding more blue, making the horn look quite grey and washed out. Go ahead and play with these sliders to change the amount of yellow on your horn image. Once you have done this, you can move the top slider towards red. Again, adding more red into this image. Now, there's no set numbers here, so you don't have to copy the same amount and the same position of my sliders, as this is just a practice. So feel free to move and slide these however you wish. Once you have done this, press OK. So that was a quick example of how we can change the colour balance and brightness of an image very quickly and easily in Photoshop. There are obviously lots of other ways that we can tweak this, but we'll leave it there for now because that looks quite good and that's done the job quite nicely. The next thing we're going to do is add some text. This requires a special tool on the toolbar, which you can find near the bottom. When you're ready, move your mouse over to the horizontal type tool, which you can find in the lower half of the toolbar. Once you have found this, click on the text tool and then position your mouse anywhere inside this window. You can see that your mouse icon has changed to a line inside a box, indicating that it is ready to add some text. When you're ready, click inside this box towards the top, and you can see that some default text appears here. Whilst this text is highlighted, you should be able to type to replace this text. If not, you can use your mouse to drag over the text to highlight it. Once you have done this, type mezzo piano. Next, drag your mouse over the text, and we're going to have a look at how to change the size, font and colour of this text. At the top of your screen now, in the control bar, you should be able to see some basic formatting options. On the left hand side, here we can choose a font. Go ahead and choose any font you like. Next to that, you can see that we have some options for italic or bold or regular text. Next to that, we have the font size. Click on the little drop-down arrow to choose a font size that you like. I'm going to go for something large, like font size 30. Next to this, you have a way to change the display of your text. So you can have the text looking quite sharp, crisp, strong, or maybe you want to have nice, smooth, rounded edges to your text. Please note that not all texts support this option, and they might not all work as well as you'd like. So, if you try to add the smooth effect to a certain type of font and it doesn't look smooth, then go ahead and change it to another type of font which does support this option. For now, I'm going to leave it on the default option, which is sharp. As you can see, the letters on my screen look nice and sharp now, and hopefully they would on yours also. Next to this, we have some basic alignment options: left align, center align, and right align. And finally, we have the option to choose the color of our font. Click anywhere inside this black box to choose a color for your font. For now, we're going to choose a purpley blue color. So, first of all, move the hue slider up and down by either clicking and dragging on the arrows, or by clicking anywhere inside the hue slider itself to select a pinky purpley hue. Then use this box on the left to choose a tone. I'm going to click on the right hand side over here to choose a dark purpley colour. Now you can choose any colour you like, as long as it is a bluey purpley colour, and then press OK. Once you have made these changes, at the top of your control bar you can see a cancel or approve button. This is exactly the same as when we did the free transform on the CD shape here. Photoshop is asking us if we want to cancel the changes we've made and return the text back to how it was, or press a tick to keep the changes that we've just made. So go ahead and press the tick. If you're not happy with your text or want to make any changes to it at all, I'll show you two ways to do this now very easily and quickly. The first way to change this is with the text tool selected. Click and drag your mouse over the text to highlight it. Once your text is highlighted, you can see that you now have access to the control bar, allowing you to make changes to your text. Another way that you can quickly select your text to highlight it is on the layers panel on the right hand side down here. Put your mouse over the T icon and then double click. Once you do this, you can see that this also highlights the text, enabling you to make changes to it using the control panel at the top of the screen. To reposition or move your text, you can do this simply using the Move tool on the toolbar. Go ahead and click on the Move tool, and then click and drag to move your text. If you're having trouble with this, again, make sure that you have your text layer selected in the Layers panel on the right hand side of your screen. If you don't have this layer selected and then you try and move your text, you may end up moving the wrong layer. Position your text anywhere along the top of the screen in your window. Somewhere above the CD will be fine. The exact positioning of these objects on your document will of course be different to mine, so don't worry too much if they are positioned slightly differently to mine. Well, we still have a lot more to do and a few more steps until our document is finished. So let's stop for today and we'll pick up on this again next week. So what I'd like you to do now is to save your work. So go to the top of the screen and go to File and press Save. Once you have saved your work, you are fine to go ahead and close Adobe Photoshop. If you have any pop-up warnings when you try and close your documents, you can either go ahead and press Save on this, or if you don't want to keep the changes, just press Don't Save. So that's all for today. Hopefully, your tour document now looks something similar to mine. If you got stuck with any of the steps in this tutorial, please remember to go back and have another look through any sections which were unclear. Well done again, and we'll continue with this next time. Goodbye for now.